All right, do we got Jas Mace on the line?
Yo, what up? This is Jas Mace from the 49ers.
All right, how's it going?
I'm good. How's everything over there?
Pretty good. It's pretty early on the West Coast, so I'm sure it's late out in the East Coast.
Yeah, man. It's 1 in the morning out here.
All right, so I definitely appreciate you calling me at this time for an interview.
No problem. It's my pleasure.
All right, so I have a quick question. You're part of the group called the 49ers, and the 49ers, I don't know if you noticed, they're a popular team in the Bay Area. So,
Right.
How did you get the name the 49ers?
It's actually the address to where my partner and I, my architect, we grew up, was at 49 Matthews Road, and that's where we honed all our skills. It's where we would go and write our raps and practice making beats, and it's where we learned all our styles and equipment and developed everything. So, and that's where we did everything. That's the house where we did everything. We built our relationship and friendship and group. So we would always refer to that as the 49, that house. So I'd say, let's catch up later. I'll meet you at the 49. And that's how it was. That's how everybody knew it. Everybody in the neighborhood knew that house for putting out music, and that's where we would stay. So us being a product of that address and that house, we were just referred to as the 49ers. So, that's just how we kept it.
And where is this 49th that you speak of?
It's in Newark, Delaware. That's where we're from, Delaware and Newark.
Okay, so how did you get into hip-hop, and, how did you get into taking it as a serious career where you want to do it instead of the 9 to 5?
It's probably just, it's always something that we grew up doing. It's not anything that we really set out to do originally. It was just being around it. My partner, my architect, his brothers were a group back in the day, and we were always around them, so we were just sitting watching and learning, and they were mentoring us. So it's just something that it's just from us being around it and picking it up and wanting to do it ourselves. And just for the love of it, we've always loved being artistic and creative, so it's just something that we always wanted to do.
All right, being unfamiliar with the hip-hop scene in Delaware, can you describe it? Because I honestly don't know much about the hip-hop in that area.
Yeah, it's well, for those that don't know where it's located on the map, it's it's about 45 minutes from Philadelphia, 2 hours from New York, 2 hours from D.C. It's right very close to Jersey, and about an hour from Baltimore. So Delaware itself really doesn't have much going on inside of it, but it has a lot of influences from New York and from D.C. So it's pretty much like a melting pot. You'll get sounds where people will sound like they're from the South, and then you'll get sounds of people where they sound like they're from Philly or from New York. And then there's some people there that develop their own style and their own sound. But the scene itself, it's an untapped market in Delaware, in my opinion. There's a lot of talent here, and it's just waiting to be found. So there's a lot of artists that are coming up, a lot of young cats that are doing things on the independent scene as far as promotions and producers. For those that don't know, there's been some artists that have come out of Delaware. Hezekiah, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he's from Delaware. Young Guru, who does a lot of stuff with Jay-Z, he's from Delaware. And people come to Delaware. Jazzy Jeff lives in Delaware.
Okay.
Freeway's living in Delaware now. Well, he was. I'm not sure if he's still here, but so Delaware. I mean, it has its potential. It's just an untapped market right now, waiting to be found.
So since it's an untapped market, do you try to clump the entire state with a neighboring region, or do you try to, establish Delaware as its own identity?
Yeah, we definitely want it to be its own identity. We want it to stand out and develop its own sound. But being so close to Philly and New York and Baltimore, and it's at our advantage because we can go to these areas And, especially being so close to New York, the home of hip-hop, we get to go to the venues and get to watch a lot of the artists and study them and make connections with them. But, of course, we would rather be, our own separate entity. We don't want to be like Philly rappers, or we don't necessarily want to be like rappers from New York. We want to have our own sound and be known for, Delaware MCs, not necessarily those guys that are 45 minutes from Philadelphia. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so is there a lot of support in the local community?
Yeah, sometimes. It's tough. Like, it's kind of tough. Right now, it's kind of a crabs in a bucket mentality kind of that's been going on for a while in Delaware, where you're not going to get much support from unless you're within that little clique that's coming out of Delaware. You're not really going to get too much support from other units. But if somebody hears your music and hears your music first before they know that you're from Delaware, then you might get a little more support. But it's kind of tough. It's a tough market to come out of. I personally wish that a lot of the Delaware artists and MCs would come together a little more than they do now.
Okay.
It's like everyone's fighting to be the first one out of Delaware or something, when it really doesn't matter, because once one person blows up, then it's going to bring attention to Delaware, just like how it did for New Orleans and how it did for Georgia and how it did for St. Louis, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's more like a competition now as opposed to a collective union or something?
Right, pretty much. Yeah.
All right, so checking your music, and you know how you said Delaware is a melting pot for other areas,
Mm-hmm.
or from other areas.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you get your influence from? Because I noticed that you had a lot of more of that chill vibe.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have our influences come from like the golden era and a little before that. Probably, I mean, my personal influence is like Cool G Rap, De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest. Really like the golden era of hip hop. That's where most of our influences come. But I mean, that's just speaking on hip hop. But our music transcends that. We have jazz influence, we have rock influence, we have so many different influences. I mean, even basic life influences that we use when we think of concepts for our lyrics and stuff. But musically, referring strictly to hip hop, it's like the Native Tongues type, Diggable Planets type, and a real soulful and jazzy sounding hip hop.
All right, most definitely. Can you talk about the projects that you actually have out and are working on right now?
Yeah, we have, most recently we did a collaboration album with a Japanese production unit called ZDW. We released an album called Solstice, and that you can get on iTunes and record stores in Japan. That's Solstice, spelled S-O-U-L, Solstice. And before that, we put out an album called Mosaic. And that's what you'll notice a lot of our tables have, or a lot of our titles have dual meanings. Like we have an album called State of the Art. We have an album called The Ultrasound, Mosaic, and Solstice. And they all have more than one meaning when you look at the spelling or the way that it's presented. Mosaic was also released in Japan. So you can get that on iTunes worldwide, or you can get it in stores in Japan. State of the Art was our first release in Japan, which you can get in stores in Japan and on iTunes worldwide. And right now we're currently working on our fifth album that's also scheduled to be released in Japan and online throughout the world. That should be out hopefully by the end of the summer. It's not really titled yet. We have a couple titles that we're throwing around back and forth with each other, but we haven't really locked in on one yet.
Okay, so you've worked with a couple of Japanese musicians. How did you collaborate with artists from halfway around the world, so to speak?
Yeah, it's just basically, man, it's just networking and hitting up producers. Back when MySpace was popular, I was just sending out messages to producers that I liked and asking them if they wanted to collaborate with us. And some of them, sometimes they don't respond, and sometimes they do respond. And then usually when they respond, and they have either heard our music through the songs that we released in Japan, or whatever I sent them, and they liked what they heard, and they were interested in working with us.
And is there a language barrier when you send out these inquiries?
Yeah, sometimes it is, but I went to school at the University of Delaware, and my foreign language was Japanese, so it helps. It helps that I can speak the language a little bit. I'm not that great, but I knew enough to where they knew what I was trying to say and what I was trying to ask them. So.
Okay, it seems to me that you may actually legitimately be more popular in Japan than in the United States. Is that something you're trying to seek with trying to go international, or are you trying to get more love, locally and nationally first and foremost?
For me, honestly, it doesn't matter. I don't care if people hear my music in the U.S. or if they hear my music in Japan or Poland or England. As long as people are hearing it and they appreciate it. If people are appreciating it in Japan or Korea or overseas somewhere, then I'm happy. It doesn't matter where it's at, as long as somebody's out there appreciating the music that we put out.
Okay, but you do appreciate the love, especially from a country that typically does not speak English, and for them to actually listen to what you have to say. How do you feel about all that?
I mean, to me, that's amazing. It just goes to show what technology has brought to the whole music thing nowadays. To know that, within a couple seconds, I can upload a new song and people around the world are listening to it. And I'm getting emails about they're quoting the lyrics. And, like you said, they don't even really speak the language. So it's taken a lot of effort for them to sit and listen and try to comprehend and process everything. And to me, that's a great experience, and it really inspires me to continue doing what we're doing, knowing that we have fans across the world that'll really appreciate what we're doing and the music that we're making.
All right, have you actually toured out there before?
Yeah, we toured maybe 3 times, I think it was, in Japan. And that's just like a whole nother experience to even be there and performing, and they're saying the lyrics along with you, and that it's not their first language, but they know the lyrics better than we do sometimes, that we can pause the beat and they'll keep going with whatever we're saying. It's a great experience, and we look forward to going back. Maybe before the end of the year, next year. I know you and I talked about setting something up. Yeah, so I hope that, we can make that happen, definitely.
It's all about the funding, yo.
Yeah, I know, man. Tell me about it. That's how, basically, the only way we supported ours was through advances that we got from the labels, because this is, like you said, it's about the money, man. It can add up real quick going overseas, and especially in Japan, it's a lot more expensive. The yen is much better than the dollar, you know what I mean?
Yeah, plus, they've done a great job rebuilding after the earthquake and tsunami.
Right. Yeah, one of the albums we released was like 2 months after the tsunami and earthquake, and we tried to tell the label to delay it, but he wanted to go ahead with it anyway. We didn't think it was a good idea, but he went ahead with it anyway. And you can see the difference in sales right after that earthquake.
All right, so besides Japan, are there any other places you would like to tour, or any places you plan
Everywhere, man, everywhere. We want to go everywhere. We were just talking today about how we can get some shows and start touring in Europe, especially. I'm talking to some people about doing some shows in Poland, hopefully. Okay. Hopefully that materializes into something. Yeah, man, but we're open to do it anywhere. Anywhere and everywhere.
Even Antarctica and the moon.
Yeah, you know what I mean? We'll rock for the penguins and polar bears, you know what I mean? anything.
All right, so for all the fans that would like to reach you, where can they reach you? Twitter, Facebook, etc.
Yeah. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. All you got to do is Google the 49ers, Jas Mace, Architect. All that stuff will come up. It's like so many sites that we try to get our stuff up there and on. It's like I lose track of all of the outlets that's online nowadays. But, I mean, it's there. We're Twitter, the 49ers, and Facebook, the 49ers. And, we have a blog. You can just Google it. You know, the 49ers, we have an official blog and everything. Try to keep everything updated with the shows and the releases, because one thing we like to do is do a lot of features with different artists and different producers, and we like to keep our fans informed and everything. So,
all right, six. Yeah. So this will conclude this interview. Is there anything you want to say to all the listeners, your new fans and your current fans, and anything else?
Yeah, just thank everyone for the support, and thanks everyone that's been listening to and following the 49ers throughout the years. We appreciate it. We love y'all. We thank y'all for your support, and if it wasn't for y'all, we wouldn't be able to do it. And for people that haven't heard of the 49ers, please check into it. If you like that real quality, heartfelt hip-hop, then I think you'll dig what the 49ers bring to the table and the contributions that we make to the hip-hop world. And I just like to thank you, man. I appreciate you giving me the time to call up and do the interview, and hopefully we can make something happen over there in Japan.
Oh, yeah. You know what I mean? Most definitely. This interview will be up for all my East Coast listeners, because I know it's late out there.
Right. Yeah, so, I mean, anything. Even if it's out on the West Coast, man, we'll come out on the West Coast, and we can do something.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
Do some shows.
I'd love to collaborate.
Yeah.
All right, so this will oh, yeah, for sure. This will definitely conclude it. Thank you for coming on this show for an interview, and we're about to play Dreamin', and we're going to play the other tracks in a little bit, so thank you once again.
No problem. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
All right, so we're going to get into a quick break. Then we're going to get into the 49ers, 90.5 KSJS. Thank you to Jas Mace.